TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Oh, so epic!
There's that music.
It's so beautiful. Earlier when we were testing out what music we were going to play for our intro, Megan had a very strong reaction, and I was like, is it loud, or are you just getting really emotional?
It was both. It was both. A little bit both. Mostly the volume.
What is up, AfterBuzz TV fans and Star Wars Rebels fans? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1, Lost Commanders of the Star Wars Rebels After Show. If you guys have not done so already, please be sure to go on over to iTunes. You should subscribe on iTunes, leave us reviews, tell us what you think. Also, if you're listening on iTunes, you should do the opposite and you should go over to YouTube. You should like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave us comments, let us know what you think, and remember, you guys can always talk to us on Twitter using that hashtag ABTVRebels. So, for anybody who's like, who's this new girl here? She was not around last season. Dylan looks and sounds a bit different. That's
the hair, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I got a haircut.
Looks good.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was trying something a little bold, but I think it's working out really well. But no, I am Emma Fyffe. You can follow me all over the internet at Emma Fyffe. It's my name, and I am joined by some familiar faces for those of you who tuned in last season. The lovely Katie Cullen.
Hi, all my buddies. You can find me on Twitter at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. I'm keeping an eye on the hashtag and the live chat. Hi, Dylan. We see you in there.
Hello. We're missing you already.
So much. How's Colorado?
Oh.
We miss you.
I'm from Colorado, so it's like, what do you think? What do you think?
Exactly, of the state of Colorado. And of course, Megan Salinas.
Hey everybody, I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter at @themenguin. That's TheMenguin. Let me know when a good time to read the iTunes reviews that we've had over the summer.
Sure, yeah, I'll let you know. We'll do that a little later in the episode.
Sounds good.
Let's get into it first though, because this was the season premiere for episode 2. Overall thoughts, just before we dive into some of the finer points.
I'm just so glad that we're just hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
Because the Siege of Lethal was so
amazing.
Good.
Totally awesome.
It was
yeah.
so good and so dark that it's really nice that we, nothing is lost. It's not like we have like a filler episode and then we get back to the plot. It's like, no, we're just diving right in.
I totally agree. Yeah, it was really nice to see them just dive right back in and start dealing with some of the emotional stuff that had come up in Siege of Lethal and just hit the ground running with that.
Well, honestly, I know it's a to be continued, but it really did feel like the first half of something. It's like, well, Zeb didn't have much to do, and we didn't have we got some good emotional beats, but we were extremely short on action, which is part of what this series is known for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So having it be like, okay, so that's all going to be next episode. This one should have been an hour.
Yeah, well, and that's actually one of the things that I really like about this series is they're not afraid to not pack every single second with action and plot.
Oh, I know, but I was a little disappointed is what I'm saying.
I will say that just if you were to watch Siege of Lethal right before this and then go right into this right after, I will say that my initial gut reaction is I want to see what Ahsoka's doing. I want to see what's going on with Vader and everything like that. But the thing about that, you have to step back and go, no, in order to be effective, they need to use him sparingly.
They absolutely do. And that was, one of the things that they said in the panel at New York Comic Con was this is still going to be about the main Rebel crew that we were with through all of last season. Yes, we are introducing all of these new characters, but it's not just suddenly going to be an Ahsoka party. You know what I mean? Much as I like her.
They're here to enhance the story, not detract from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just talk about Ahsoka because she was right at the top of the episode and then we didn't see her again. And her master baggage, for lack of a better term.
I have things I need to go deal with. Like the Sith Lord, just trust them. Yeah. Okay? No, trust them.
Right. Well, because basically the main gist of this episode was that they all agreed that, now they're all sort of in the midst of this battle with the Empire, like for real. And they've decided that they need to sort of establish a base. And Ahsoka's like, hey, I know a guy. And he's on this planet, Selos. But
he's totally cool.
Yeah, he's totally cool. You should definitely trust him. But like, I'm not going with you because I got stuff to deal with.
Just trust him. Like, we got really, really good emphasis on that without actually saying, this is the deal.
Yeah.
Just like, nope, trust the man.
Exactly.
Do you think if she had told him the truth, he would have refused to go?
I do.
Yeah.
I absolutely do.
110%.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, that was another thing that we really saw throughout this episode was Kanan's clone baggage. It's like Ahsoka was dealing with like the baggage of having a master who's now a Sith Lord, and then Kanan, rightfully so, is dealing with the repercussions of having lived through the Clone Wars.
Well, and I've been reading the comics where they go through Kanan's story, and you get to see the point where his master dies, and it literally... They're sitting around a campfire talking with the clones that they're with and just having a grand old time and everyone's friends, and it turns on a dime. It's one of those split seconds at this moment in your life is like this, then all of a sudden, sorry buddy, your master's dead and you are on the run. So the comics are very hard to read because they are very painful and it's coming.
Yeah, you're like, this is not for children. This is not on the Disney Channel.
Yeah, that was extremely sudden.
Well,
yeah.
And I feel really dumb because when we were interviewing people on the red carpet, they had talked a lot about how Rex was coming into the series, and when and that Kanan wasn't necessarily on board with that. Me completely not even thinking about what happened at the Clone Wars. I'm like, why does Kanan have a problem with Rex? That's what and then now I'm like, oh my god.
At least you knew who the people on the red carpet were. All right? There were some outlets who... It was fun.
They did.
Seriously.
They asked one of the producers, "Who do you play on the show?" It was like,
and you're like, you have a cheat sheet in your pocket.
Yeah, if any of you guys have never been to a red carpet, they literally print you a piece of paper with people's headshots and their names and what they do. So there's really no excuse.
It was kind of amazing.
I wish I had been there.
So yeah, that's your red carpet behind the scenes,
next time,
everyone.
Next time with you. No, but I want to talk a little about Rex, because you were talking, because Megan, you brought up that you're like, why would he have a problem with Rex?
Rex is great. Everybody loves Rex.
Because I think that the thing is we having, seen Clone Wars and stuff, I see Rex as, because so much of Rex's storyline in Clone Wars is about how clones have a choice. He has this storyline where he ends up on this farm, and it turns out that the farmer is actually a clone who had abandoned the war, and he has this whole dilemma about he's a coward for abandoning the war, and the farmer's like, nah man, I'm great because I'm choosing to live my own life. And ultimately that's the path that Rex takes, and that was a lovely character development arc for him, I thought. And so, we see him from an outsider perspective being like, no, he's a good clone though.
Well, the clones were made to be soldiers.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
So being like, nope, I'm doing my own thing is huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And even for the clones that still had their chips in, I mean, literally, that is mind control.
Mm-hmm.
You have the choice of whether or not to remove the chip.
Right.
But I'm sure none of the other clones even suspected that there would be a need.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, I don't know that all the other clones, because there is, there's a storyline in the last season of Clone Wars where they cover this chip thing, which actually was a really, really good thing that Clone Wars tried to retcon in terms of Attack of the Clones. Because in Attack of the Clones, we just see a whole bunch of mindless clones. And in Clone Wars, they tried to explain, because because we see that the clones are individual humans with personalities. They're not just drones. So they went in to sort of explain why that happened. And it was that they had this sort of fail-safe chip that at any moment, should the Jedi turn against the Republic, it could be turned on them. So yeah. Yeah, it could be turned on. It would just be mass Jedi slaughter, which is exactly what happened. So
and I guess it was just execute Order 66.
Yeah, yep. That's exactly what it was.
It's always fun being in line for a drive-thru and then what's my order number? 66.
I'm going to a different restaurant.
And then you are just obligated to murder everyone
in the restaurant.
I got my quesarito and I killed a Jedi. Today is a good day. Thanks, Taco Bell. You know they're on the dark side.
Oh yeah, Taco Bell 100%. I feel like that was part of their advertising campaign at one point. Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
Code Red Mountain Dew,
no,
right?
something about the dark side in Taco Bell's history. I feel like it was a thing. Anyway.
That was Mountain Dew Pitch Black.
Sure, great. Related. Totally related. But anyway, so they basically they go down to Silos to meet who we eventually find out are the clones who are basically living in Howls Moving Castle. Like, can we talk about that?
Right. It's a 6-legged tank, and all three of us kind of pulled off our headphones and went, "That's Howls Moving Castle."
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Like all of us. Wait a minute.
Which is how you know we're all such
Total
big
geeks.
nerds.
Yep.
With the same basis of nerddom.
Well,
The same reference point.
I love
That's
that.
what I was looking for.
I love that Sabine was like, "This is a work of moving art."
Yeah,
and that's exactly what it is.
Totally. Yeah. I completely agree. And this, unlike Howl's Moving Castle, is actually powered by mechanics instead of a fire
Fire
demon.
demon.
And
magic.
when your piece of Star Wars technology, which has a very certain aesthetic to it,
Yeah.
reminds you of Miyazaki, you done something right.
It's beautiful.
Oh,
it's beautiful. I had so many nerdy moments when they were first going down to the planet. So basically, Ahsoka gave them a droid head to help them try to locate.
Just the head.
Rex.
Where's she been keeping that?
Because, unclear.
7567.
Yeah, 7567, which was his birth number, so basically his clone number, and that was another thing that they did in Clone Wars was they established like everybody had these birth numbers, but because they were living, breathing, real humans, they all gave themselves names basically. But yes, so 7567, which when the droid just kept saying that over and over and over again, all I could think was 24601.
Valjean, at last we see each other play. We should stop before we sing the rest
I know,
of the
otherwise
episode.
this is just going to turn
Our
into us
engineer
singing,
says they're
singing-
thinking that too.
I'm thinking that too. Okay, thanks, Marissa. I'm so glad.
Again, we're all on the same page.
Yeah. Well, and I had another moment, another musical nerd out moment when Ezra was explaining to the clones how dire their situation was. I don't know if y'all have been listening to Hamilton, but it was very much like when George Washington is explaining to Hamilton how they're outgunned, outnumbered, outmanned, and it's like a sweet R&B song. It's amazing.
we did have a comment on Twitter.
Oh.
We've got a couple comments on Twitter.
Excellent.
One is from the and I apologize, the
Xenorto.
Sure. Great.
And they say, "I have to say, I'm glad to see that the 5 sacrifice was not in vain, and that Rex and the others followed his example."
Yes.
And we got another one from Billy Polyhean. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing
Yeah,
that wrong.
Polyhan. Yeah, I know Billy.
Hi guys, first time viewer. Anyway, how do you feel about Gregor's psyche? He's gone a little nuts.
We were just talking when we were watching earlier about how all of them have sort of embraced this redneck lifestyle because they're kind of living like in the middle of nowhere,
What I
pseudo
said.
in hiding, but
It's like living on a swamp boat and hunting alligators. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I was a little worried about him because at one point when he's laughing, his eyes like get all crossed.
I
And I'm
know.
like, he's probably been out in the sun for a little too long.
Yeah.
He might have gotten multiple sunstrokes at this point. I'm
Right?
a little concerned.
Yeah, I was
He's not okay. He's not okay.
I was definitely concerned, but I was glad that he at least was enjoying
Yeah,
himself.
he looked like he was having fun, if nothing else.
We caught the big one. Okay.
Yeah,
Diddling ding 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 ding.
let's
ding,
talk
ding,
about
ding.
this video game side quest that
That's
was
what
the
it
latter half of the
is.
episode, basically. So we find out that they're just kind of spending their days chilling on Silos. They don't really want to get involved with what's going on. They're hesitant to even assist the rebels at all because they know that if they assist them, then the Empire is going to find out, and then things are not going to be so great. They're going to be involved again, basically.
What I liked about these conversations is what people really liked about Clone Wars was the fact that the clones had distinct looks and personalities.
Yeah.
So that they were treated as individual characters.
Absolutely.
And we see that they've very much brought that over to this show as well. They all have different stances on the situation. They all choose a different look for themselves.
Yeah.
Gregor has a tank top
Yeah.
as he's, again, fully embraced this redneck
Yeah.
lifestyle. And Wolf, he's got his big old mutton chops and he's like, guys, this is a bad idea.
Yeah. Well,
I just loved Rex standing in the middle, looking at Gregor,
I know.
looking at Wolf.
Well, and I love that
They were like the angel and the devil on his shoulder.
Well, and if you look at their looks, he is very much in between because Gregor is completely clean shaven.
Yeah.
And Wolf has these giant mutton chops, so much more, like even more so than Callus.
Yeah.
And we have Rex as somebody who's in between.
Right.
So of course he's going to be the leader. So because he's equally weighing what both of these guys have to say.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But yeah, so we find out how they've been sort of passing their days while they've been living on Selos. And one of the things that they are in the market of doing now is Jupa slinging. Which when they said that, I was like, what? Is that a thing I should know? And then they explained what it was. And it turns out that basically they're these sort of
graboids.
They're tremors. That's, I was gonna say they were like the worms in Dune, which are also tremors. And basically they hunt them and eat them. It's like it's a food source for them.
It's hunting alligators. I'm telling you.
It's going fishing in the desert.
Yeah. And Gregor is super jazzed to get all these guys involved. And we find out that the reason he's really excited about it is because of Zeb.
We need his help.
Yeah.
I mean, the second he looked at Zeb, I was like, something's up.
Yeah.
I don't trust this situation.
Yeah.
What threw me off about it is that the music when this is happening is very whimsical up until the chord looks like it's about to break. It's very whimsical. It's like, look, we're fun. This is a fun little romp. And
he might actually die.
Yep.
With the way, like, if they had just changed up the music cues, this could have been a dire scene. But you know from the music, oh no, we're having fun.
But it's a video game side quest.
It totally is a video game side quest.
Here's the setup. Now press triangle to poke the rod.
Yeah, it is a timed video game side quest where you have
a quick time
where you
event.
have you have the intro cutscene, which is everybody taking their stations, and then you're playing and you're playing as Ezra, and then Ezra goes, "What am I gonna do? You got the best job at all. You get to poke the big worm," and so they give them the stabs, and that's exactly what it is. It's like press triangle, but it's timed. It's also timed side
Kingdom
quest.
Hearts 2 to be like, yep, get up on the Hydra's back.
Yep, and that ultimately is basically what it boiled down to.
No one was concerned that Zeb was going to suffocate? Like, how was that not
I don't know. But it was so funny.
I would imagine they've done this live bait thing before.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like it was not their first rodeo.
Lost his mind.
Ah, yeah.
And they had too much time inside the flopper worm.
Yeah. Well, and I just felt like at the end of this side quest, it was a side quest. It was not really a side quest, but it was a side quest.
It was a side quest.
I loved Zeb's reaction when he first got out of the mouth, and he was so mad that he'd been used as bait. And then they're like, "It's the biggest one we ever caught." And he's like, "Guys, that was great, right?"
I knew I had him beat the whole time.
Yeah.
Look at me.
So good. So yes, they catch the worm, and they're like, "All right, we did what we said we were going to do. Give us the coordinates," because that's basically what...
because... And again, I think all of our jaws hit the ground because we find out that somehow coordinates have been sent to the Empire about their whereabouts.
Well, I mean, we'd gotten a little bit of an inkling of something
when
going
the droid,
on.
Exactly.
And they did have that one little scene sort of in the middle of the episode where they dispatched the droid, assumedly.
Well, and they said that they'd heard from this same clone trooper and that he had a habit of being very paranoid and, calling Wolf.
Right.
It said, oh God, I just got that.
It was a hint, and we all totally missed it.
Triangle.
It went way over our heads.
What fools we were.
I know. If only we'd seen the light
Stealth
before.
pun.
Well, because
pun.
At first I thought that it was something that the Empire had actually found them a long time ago and has just been keeping tabs on them this whole time.
That's what I thought too.
And then we see Gregor turn and is like, "What did you do?" And we were all of us, our jaws just dropped, and we were like, "No!"
Right. Well, because
no, I saw that coming.
Because I didn't.
Well, they straight up said, "We've received transmissions from this trooper before. They've always been, really paranoid and freaked out. There's never been anything there. We shouldn't follow up on it." And then Callus went, "We have to follow up on everything." So we knew there was a transmission from one of the clones. We just didn't know which one.
Right.
But what we didn't know is that all of Ahsoka's previous transmissions had gone unanswered.
Yes!
And Wolf had hidden them.
I know.
She did say that
this
they'd gone
was
unanswered.
very premeditated.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it came from a good place with Wolf because, again, we've established that his personality, he wants to protect his clone family, essentially, no matter what.
Yeah, no.
The ends justifying the means.
Yes.
And to be fair, he's absolutely right. If the Empire did find out they were harboring fugitives, they would absolutely destroy them.
Oh,
there's no question about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. But the Empire shows up in the form of that droid, the probe drone.
Which took out the engine in the Phantom.
Yeah.
Oops. So now they're stuck there, and the actual Empire forces are on their way.
And the Ghost is essentially immobile because Chopper only fixed part of the hyperdrive.
Yeah.
The important part.
Girl lose her noise at him like that was so funny.
Yeah, that's my only other complaint about this episode is that you've taken Hera and kind of sidelined her for this episode, but that's the way this series goes.
Yeah, and that actually, because I feel like this series does a really good job of pulling all of the characters into focus, and so it balances out really nicely. So, you know, she'll be at the center in another episode.
She'll be the focus, no doubt.
Yeah.
And that is the best way to assure that, no, you can't just leave.
Right.
You have to stay there because even if you could get the Phantom up there, the Ghost is still out of commission.
Yeah. So basically everybody's stuck where they are right now. And we got a big old to be continued.
3 AT-ATs on the way.
Yeah.
Bless.
What we did all do is as soon as To Be Continued popped up, we all went,
No! Even Hera says something to Kanan about his prejudice against clones, being like, hey, they did some good stuff too. Like, I would not be alive without them.
And you know they've had this discussion before because he follows that up with, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they've clearly had this talk before, which, again, makes me wonder if they've come across clones in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mysteries of Kanan and Hera's past.
Yes,
I want to.
I ship them so hard.
I would watch that miniseries. Just like, okay, it's during winter break. Now, here's 2.5 hours about their past. And I'm like, yep, sign me up.
I mean, technically we already have that. It's in book form.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Hello.
Anyway.
Give it to me.
Anyway.
Let's move into some iTunes reviews, since I know there were a couple more that were acquired between seasons 1 and 2 of this show.
Before your time.
Before my time.
You guys will have to forgive me. I don't recall which ones we read during the Siege of Lothal recap because I can't remember what I did last week. That's what watching so much TV does to me.
Did we read any during that recap?
We might not have had time, so I apologize if you've heard this one before. We got one from Solo 182. I've got a good feeling about this. I found out about your podcast 9 episodes in, but I'm all in, caught up now. Can't wait till season 2. Thanks to all of you. You make a good team. Keep up the great job. May the Force be with you.
And also with you.
And one as well from Bjorn 2P, who left 5 stars. Thank you so much. If you want to hear a great podcast about Star Wars, Rebels, and predictions, this is the one for you.
Aww.
By Jaylene Upchurch. I literally love listening to this podcast. Everyone's opinions about the show is amazing, and I give the show a 10 out of 10. Everyone is so funny in the show as well. I loved the episode with the guests on about the breaking ranks. It was the funniest episode I have listened to so far. We're going to have to get them back.
Yes.
AMAZING from Gabinator_Jedi. Love watching this. You guys are great. Have you guys been reading the Kanan comics? If so, what
Katie
do you guys
has.
think? Katie has,
Yeah.
for sure.
They make my heart hurt.
So yes, thank you guys so much. And we know that some people internationally, we can't see the international iTunes. Take a screenshot.
I found out a secrety way to do that without having to change your own iTunes in a web browser. I'll teach you guys.
Please do. I would love to.
See, I've just been scrolling down, finding country flipping and flipping back. So if you are outside the United States and you've left us an iTunes review,
give us a
tweet
heads up
and tell us what iTunes you are under, and we will go dig it up.
Or send us a screen cap.
Yeah,
that
very
too.
much
Appreciate
That's also
that.
great.
That too.
Before we end things, let's dive into a little bit of news and gossip.
Yeah.
AfterBuzz TV News.
That's more on the gossipy side because they were pretty tight-lipped about stuff at New York Comic Con, which of course did just happen this past weekend. Though they gave some insight as to what's coming up in the series. The Seventh Sister. Yes, serious threat. Sarah Michelle Gellar. This is now a family affair. All of the Inquisitors are apparently somewhat alike, so the Inquisitor they killed before was actually the Grand Master, but it doesn't matter because all of them are just as terrible and powerful as he is. Equality. They had a really good segment during their panel about how it's really important to them to have a gender-balanced cast, but they're not trying to push, like, this is the season of the ladies. They're like, nah, that's just the way it is. That's how it should always be.
I agree 100%.
And again, as I mentioned earlier, that even though we're going to get some Darth Vader action, we're going to get some Ahsoka action, the crew of the Ghost is still going to be the main focus during this season. The gender balance thing brings up one thing that I wanted to talk about, which is that earlier... Kathleen Kennedy, who is the president of LucasArts, had an interview with Focus magazine wherein she revealed that the vast majority of the team behind Star Wars is female. 6 of the 8 people on the story team, which is the division of LucasArts that basically, of Lucasfilms that basically decides what is canon in the Star Wars universe, are girls.
Bless.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. And she is adamant that someday a woman will direct a Star Wars film. It's just a matter of time.
Yes.
That is exciting. And if you've been looking at casting announcements for this one and for episode 8 coming up, even they're looking that far ahead. It's very promising casting news, and it makes my heart sing.
Yes.
Women of color in Star Wars.
Yay! Which we're going to see on the big screen, too, in Force Awakens.
Yes!
To me, this show, because this is the first time we've really seen Star Wars in the hands of, Disney, because it's on Disney XD, so, this really gives me hope for the future of Star Wars.
Would you say it's a new hope?
Yes.
What's happening to me?
So that is it for the news and gossip side of things, and that's gonna conclude this episode of the Star Wars Rebels After Show.
Oh, it went by too quickly.
I know, it really did. Katie, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. You can also find me on Snapchat at Kia Prime. I am on so many shows here, you guys. Z Nation, this one, obviously. Arrow comes back in an hour, and Ruby comes back in a couple of weeks.
Can't wait.
Megan?
I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter at The Menguin and on Instagram. That's
she got an Instagram.
MENGUIN. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday to the Movie Chick News Show. And be sure to check out my articles on the Movie Chick as well. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out.
And I'm Emma Fyffe. You can follow me all over the internet at Emma Fyffe. Follow me on Twitter. You'll know about everything that I'm doing. I tweet a lot. I'm on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz. Face Off, which is coming to an end. Guardians of the Galaxy. Bob's Burgers. There's a bunch of them. Just follow me on Twitter, like I said, and Instagram. You can also find me at Emma Fyffe there as well. Also, be sure to check out all the other shows we do here at AfterBuzzTV.com. We do after shows for everything. If there's a TV show you like, we probably do an after show for it, so you should totally check that out. And be sure to tune in next week, same time, same place, where we will be here again discussing Season 2, Episode 2.
With one more host.
With one more host of Star Wars Rebels. So until then, guys, may the Force be with you.
And also with you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.